So in this video, I'm going to talk about how do you parent a three or how do you manage a three in a working relationship? Uh, what can you coach them on? The first thing is to slow them down. Make sure they learn how to listen to another perspective. Threes tend to be compulsively self-confident, but they want to win. They want to please you. They want to do well. And if you couch it in terms of how you could be more successful, then they're going to be more receptive to what you have to say. So that there's value in slowing down and listening, that there's value in building relationships. Another thing that's really important is because threes move so fast, they tend to cut corners. Because imagine if you're focused on a goal and you're moving quickly towards that goal, then you may not see some of the nuances. You may not see some details. So I have heard this from threes themselves and for people who work with threes and parents of threes, that a lot of times details get compromised. So make sure you are checking the details and that you're encouraging the three to slow down and check for details, not once, but perhaps even twice. Another thing that's really important for them is to develop empathy. Walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. Encourage them to consider what other people contribute, people who aren't so focused on achieving. Whether it's the administrative assistant, whether it's somebody who is in charge of something that is not really visible and apparent at the first glance, but that they are part of what makes this whole entire operation run. Because threes can get so focused on who's out in front and their eye is always there that it's really important for them to develop the capacity not only to empathize and understand what it might be like for other people, but to see other people who do things and it's not always focused on winning. They do them for other reasons. Authenticity. Praise them for something beyond what they do. Praise them for how they are as human beings, something that you appreciated that had nothing to do with some sort of exterior measure of success. Perhaps it was for being kind to you. Perhaps it was for asking you about how your job interview went. Well, probably if they're working for you, it's not as much about the job interview. I'm talking sometimes about relationships, like if you're a parent or something like that. But just something that's more personal, where they're asking you about yourself, because threes are people who are about connection. They are about relationships. They just have to be reminded that not everybody is as focused on winning as the entire reason for living. This is a type that the whole quote of "stop and smell the roses" was invented for this type. So authenticity is something that's hard. Sometimes they're difficult to know because they tend to tell you the positive things about themselves and things that are less challenging. They assume that you're not that interested. They assume that you're going to think less of them if they went through something difficult. This is always a surprise to a three that they matter beyond their success. You might even, if you're working with them or if you're coaching them or parenting them, encourage them to mentor others. They tend to be good at what they do because they've worked so hard for it. But encourage them to mentor someone else in the organization. Somebody, again, where it's not always about winning. It's about being a decent human being and doing an effective job and contributing to part of the team. You also might want to gently and in private never give them feedback in public. But you want to mark out that perhaps their name dropping is a way that actually disconnects them from people. They may see it as something name dropping or talking about their successes or taking credit for successes, that they tend to think, hey, that's how I'm going to get attention. That's how people are going to see how much I matter. But tell them that ultimately that will disconnect them from people, and people will start to see them as superficial. So again, just as a closing, frame all of these suggestions as ways to be more successful, because then that will relax their brain, relax their body and system, and they'll be more receptive to what you have to say.